Hello, I'm Joe, aka Mr. Fragrance, and today we are in a new setting, and hopefully this is going to be my new fixed setting. I've got a few of the fragrances up here behind me. Not that you'll ever see them really, because I'm going to be standing in front of them the whole time, but today we're going to be talking about this. This here is the And Fragrance Discovery Box, and I'm going to be opening it up in just a second and revealing to you the wonders that are the And Fragrance line. Enjoy the video. So look, before we get into the video, I want to express my feelings in the fact that I've been wanting to make this channel a little bit more professional, a little bit more fixed in place, not going to be moving around as much. I was kind of going for a more gent sense YouTube channel style in the fact that I was moving about a little bit more, but I think I'm just going to stick my own style. I'm going to have my own backdrop, and this is where I'm going to be doing all my videos from now on. So yes, let's move on to the brand that we're going to be talking about today. I have opened it up a bit, I have moved about, and I have tested the fragrances out a little bit so that I'm able to give you a great insight into this brand and the fragrances that they create. So yes, And Fragrance is who we're going to be looking at today. First of all, when you look at the box, they've got a really great kind of logo. I love the logo, it's such a rustic, artistic style. And when you open the box, boy, you get a whiff of just natural goodiness. They're a brand that's created really to have the feel of nature. Everything you smell is going to smell different to anything you've ever smelled before. It's going to smell natural. It's going to smell like it's come straight from the rainforest, straight from the sand dunes, straight from wherever it wants you to think it's coming straight from. When you open up, you get a beautiful booklet, and that's this. So, Unstink the World, and I'm not going to read it through any of it really, but you have a brilliant booklet of loads of different things about all the different scents that I'm going to be testing here. I must say that this is the Discover All set, which is a little bit different to, you can buy the 50ml bottles of the fragrance, and I think they're about £125. They're not cheap, but this is fragrance that you're never ever going to smell like in your entire life. It's going to be so different to anything you've ever smelled. So I'm going to move on to the very first fragrance, and that is Mad. So the first fragrance we're going to be looking at out of these 5, yes, they've kind of fallen off where they usually sit up in their very nice looking way, but the first one we're going to be looking at is Mad. It's got a little, what looks like a piece of chewing gum stuck to the back of it. No, it's just one of these pieces of glue that keeps it attached to the box. So we have Mad here. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to spray out my upper arm because we've got 5, I believe, to try out. Now, Mad is meant to be coming from the jungle. It's got that kind of jungle vibe, as I wanted to put it online. And when you spray it, you're immediately hit with an incense vanilla. And the vanilla creates a sweetness, but there's an immediate hearty earthiness to this, which really brings it right back down to earth, and it's no longer in such a refreshing tone as you get it to start off with. And when I initially smelt this, it smelled like I would imagine a rainforest floor to smell like. You walk into a rainforest and it's humid, and it's humid, it's hot, and this kind of smell almost forms a licorice kind of smell, and I don't think that that's actually in this fragrance, licorice. I do not think that is an accord that you would find in this scent. It's a little bit difficult to find out, as there isn't really anywhere where you can actually see a breakdown of the notes. But no, I know that there's certainly a woodiness, a heartiness, and I've started with this one because when smelling these initially, this was the first fragrance that didn't quite make me go, I love this. Now, to people that have tried this, I know that's quite an unpopular opinion. This scent is, well, to put it plainly, it's very well loved. It's enjoyable, it's addictive to very many tastes, but unfortunately there's just something about this that slightly repels my tastes. I don't know what it is. I think it's possibly that licorice kind of smell. It develops into something a little bit more strong. It smells really potent, and in testing this, it doesn't actually last as long as you initially would be made to think, because this earthiness, which is the only thing I can really describe it as, it's a very down-to-earth earthiness, actually doesn't last too long, and it's subtle. It kind of becomes more subtle, and you're suddenly given this big hit again of vanilla, which you were given at the start, and suddenly it's back to give you, back to kind of comfort you, as in, look, you've had, you've suffered, you've suffered this rainforest earthiness. You've been given this incredible transformation, this journey to the rainforests, and now we're back to give you this beautiful sweetness that you deserve. I think it's a really interesting scent. Just because I don't immediately absolutely love it doesn't mean that I dislike this fragrance, and I think it's really, really worthy of a purchase. If you're a bit more worried about price, you can get this for I think it's £35 for a 10ml bottle. Again, this stuff isn't cheap, but this stuff is incredible. The next one we are going to be looking at is Bean. So Bean is it's kind of like, I think they described it as being like a church, slightly church. No, it's not. No, they described the other ones as being slightly more churchy than this one. Basically, it's everything in this fragrance here is going to be surrounding and uplifting the accord that is tonka, and it's going to have neroli and lavender in it as well, and a bit of orange. I think it's orange blossom, or whether that's mandarin. Some sort of citrusy orange is going to be in there to kind of give this a little bit more of a lightness and a freshness. And so yeah, I'm just going to give it on my forearm. The top notes, I would imagine, consist of this fennel. It's very, very aromatic, and that's partly because of the uplifting alcohol that kind of just evaporates away, and that fennel gets carried away with that, and you're suddenly left with some more intricate details to this fragrance, which would consist of the orange, but then you've got the lavender. The neroli is certainly there. I feel like it's being supported by the fennel, which is kind of gradually as the fragrance progresses, getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and you're left with just a complex, so complex. These scents are so complex and really difficult to describe to you. They describe this scent as having a pudding, kind of a puddingness to it, and I understand that. It's rich, and it's certainly earthy again, as all of these are. They smell it. They've come from nature, everything around us, and possibly from countries that we've never been to and never will. And I think that's what's so brilliant about these, is they make you feel like you've travelled. And the fennel, it's familiar, and it's again nothing that's going to be crowd pleasing. These are intricate, detailed, and these scents are built and created for enthusiasts. I honestly believe this, and maybe I'm not doing the best job at promoting this brand in that sense, but I think that these are really brilliant scents for someone that's wanting to kind of learn a little bit more about the way that fragrances can be built and created. And I think that this mixture of the tonka, which is obviously they're going to be there to kind of support everything else, the tonka, the citrusy mandarin, but mainly this neroli and fennel is just there to really, really create this lovely aromatic-y scent, floral as well, but resinous. This smell that you're feeling, that you're seeping out of the wood. It's really, really great, and it's an interesting scent, very interesting. Next up we have Bear. Now Bear is created to be a scent that surrounds and supports the accord of cedar. These scents generally have this common theme of supporting the creative main note, and in this sense it's going to be cedar. And I love cedar so much. It's one of the best woody notes that can really be quite versatile. It can be sweet in a sense. It can be made into something that can support a fresh fragrance. It can also become very, very earthy, but you can also have it being this lovely resinous woody scent that you don't really get from many other woods that you get, such as sandalwood, that are put into kind of these mainstream fragrances. And I guess it's that's what these aren't. So they're really going to allow this cedar to do something interesting. You are given the most beautiful, fresh kind of, how would you describe this? I mean, they describe it like a school detergent, and you can get that. It's got this kind of it's got this spirit kind of smell, like spirit. It's got an alcohol touch to it that's completely different to the alcohol that you're so used to when you're spraying, you first spray a fragrance. And this woodiness works really, really well with this kind of detergent scent, and when you mix these two together, it creates something so special, so green smelling, something that smells so fresh. It smells like it's straight out of the forest, like you've got some pine needles and you rub them on your hands, and you just smell your hands like that, and that is exactly what I can describe this as being. So it's quite difficult to describe the way that this makes you feel, other than the woodiness to this is something so special and something that you're really not going to smell in anything else that's got this kind of supportive cedar scent. When you're told that this is going to be a cedar scent, you think, great, really woody, something bassy, something that's going to be bold, something that's going to be rich again, and fulfill your heart. It's going to be something really, really great to keep you warm in wintertime. No, this is something very different to what you might think, and it is really, really fulfilling, something brilliant. It is lovely, fresh, woody, and it's got this incredible side note of like school detergent, and that comes together and creates something super, super special, something super, super interesting, something very fresh, and something worthy of a very, very high spot in a winter coming into summer list. The next fragrance, second last, is Frank. Now, Frank, they tell us it's supporting the believe it or not, the accord of frankincense, hence the name, I would assume. So I'm going to spray this on my upper arm, and I'm going to give it a second because I seem to recall this one has a little bit of evaporation needed. Oh, wow, I think this one's my favorite scent from this Discover All set. It's kicking off with a really punchy, sweet kind of citrus, and I couldn't tell you if that's really what they intended. It's quite a lime smelling, it's quite sour almost, and that's really, really a nice kind of fresh accord, and I love my citrus scents, and I think that really does fulfill that initial citrus kick. And balancing this out, there is a certain woodiness in there which I can't quite put my finger on. The frankincense isn't strong, it's not bold, it's there, it's not taking anything out. In fact, almost in this scent, it's going to be there for a base note. And this kind of fruitiness, this lime fruitiness, is something super, super special, because when you're told it's going to be a fruitiness, you immediately resort to thinking of the more kind of designer end of fruitiness. So, you think, I don't know, maybe a Zara Wanted by Night. That's just come into my head because I've recently done a video on that. That's described as being a fruity fragrance, as fruity, spicy, warm fragrance. This is kind of the opposite end of that. That's sweet. This is like potent and sour, and I love it. This fragrance can literally make you stand out from the crowd. There's no way anyone's going to have a fragrance like this. The colour of the scent says it all. It's kind of like this lime cordial smell. You have a touch of sweetness, but this kind of sour sharpness is so beautiful. It's a scent that really I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to match. If you say to someone, give me a scent that defines lime, I would give them this. If they said give me a scent that defines frankincense, I probably wouldn't end up giving them this, because it's something that's, you don't buy this because you're wanting to get a scent of frankincense. You buy this because you want to get something that's fruity but smells clean. I don't think there's any other way to describe this than smelling super, super clean. You could go back to the fact that this could kind of smell like another detergent, but no, this smells a little bit different. It's not like a detergent, it just smells like a really, really brilliant fragrance. I'm going to struggle to describe this anymore. To me, this fragrance really is going to suit the hot weather. A hot day where, everyone's drinking, everyone's getting the you know, the sparkling wine, and something to keep them cool. And this, I tell you what, this is what's going to be there to support you with the lime cordial kind of vibe that's there. This is going to be a summer scent right by the beach. Beautiful. I really, really recommend this for anyone that's into those kind of citrusy, sharp fragrances. Really recommend Frank. It's really worth it. And finally, before I move on to the final one, I must say that I haven't actually been given these for free or anything like that. I bought this set myself. It's £25 if you want to do the Discover All set. See, I wanted to kind of say that because I realise I have done a couple of videos recently where I've been sent the fragrances, but I'll make sure to tell you guys that before I do any of those reviews. I'm never going to have biased reviews. I'm always going to give my proper opinion, but it's always good to let you know, just in case anyway, just so you know, because I don't want you thinking that I am going to give a biased review. I'm not. This is all completely my own opinions, and that's how I'm going to run this channel. So, finally, last but not least, we have sand. So, sand, what's it going to be revolving around? Supporting, that would be sandalwood. It's going to have some labdanum in there. There's going to be some benzoin resin, and that is something that I definitely picked out when first smelling this fragrance. There's going to be some black pepper in there as well, and I think there's possibly going to be some cardamom, some spicier notes in there as well. So I'm going to spray this on the inner of my wrist, and that should give me a good distribution. Oh, I've forgotten that note, and I tell you what, anyone would pick that out. The top is absolutely littered with what they call locally sourced, I think. I can't tell you exactly where it's from. I think it's from Camden Town's banana. You can smell the banana right away, and as that kind of dissipates, you're bringing, you know, out comes the sandalwood, and this sandalwood is very, very potent. And if you like sandalwood, this is going to be the fragrance for you, because of all of the fragrances they do, I think that sandalwood, you know, where they have the main note, the one that's supporting, I think this one really does highlight sandalwood the most than the other ones would have previously highlighted. Frankincense, let's just say frankincense because that was the previous one we did. But as that dissipates, the black pepper is there to support this kind of spiciness from the sandalwood. You know, sandalwood doesn't generally have a spiciness, but I'd say that of everything, the resin from sandalwood could almost be interpreted as kind of like a sweet spiciness. Sandalwood's something that's it's quite grainy. It's hard to describe, but I think it's quite a grainy. It's certainly something that can be worn in many different occasions, many different situations, depending on what it's paired with. But sandalwood, as with many other scents, as with many other accords, but sandalwood, when paired with something like benzoin resin to kind of oomph that kind of woodiness, then you add in the black pepper, that's going to kind of enhance the spiciness, which you're really getting. And then banana, which has already kind of a Middle Eastern smell to it. The sweetness isn't the kind of sweetness that I would say you kind of get from a scent such as this Spice Bomb Spice Bomb Night Vision, or Hugo Boss's scent, which I don't think is behind me currently. They have a banana touch to them, but this has a banana where it's not just the banana that you smell, you're smelling the peel, you're smelling the places it's come from, you're smelling its origin, and that's what you smell from everything that these have been created. These have been created so meticulously, with such a brilliant mindset. These have been created in such a brilliant way. They're just such incredible fragrances, and I don't think you really can find many other things out there that smell the way these do. They're all so different, yet they all have one thing tying them together, and that they smell exactly like where they come from. And despite not exactly knowing where all these scents do come from, they smell like they've come from somewhere in the world that I've never been to before. And I think that's what I love most about these fragrances. They take me somewhere, they travel. What else can you ask for from something that's going to be so sustainable, a brand that's striving to change the world? And I think that that's why they're worth the money that they ask you to pay, because they're always doing campaigns. Like currently they're taking, I think they're taking about 10%, if not more, possibly a lot more actually. I can't tell you for sure, and that's going towards a good charity cause, and that's if you're looking at the FFS fragrance. So do check them out. The link will be in the description. Please do like, subscribe and comment. I hope I've managed to do an alright review of these scents for you, and hopefully I've maybe inspired you to get at least a discovery box to try them all out, and if you like one of them enough, you can buy a 50ml bottle, which, you know, save up, spend the cash. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm Joe, Mr. Fragrance, and I'll see you next time on my channel. Thank you very much. Bye for now.